Richard.
You know what, this to me, I see a business opportunity here.
Absolutely.
I'd like to maybe start a company in which I build exam facilities.
Sure.
The exam room is what's called a shielded room.
Right.
No cell phones, no radios, no transmissions go in or out of the room.
Yeah.
And you set up the exam room to be as secure, electronically secure
Absolutely,
as possible. And then all these people come and rent time in your exam room.
Well, and that's a very good point. I think there's probably a market for that. You're right. I think that, I mean, the NSA example is a great example. I mean, there are times in which that's definitely appropriate. The question is, though, for exams that aren't as vital to national security, you might argue that might be a bit extreme. But I get your point. I think that, I think there is a trend toward extremism in this kind of arena. So no question. Are there other questions or feedback, or I mean, do you guys feel like this process makes sense? Does it seem like it's going the right direction-ish?
I think another opportunity here is for some of the calculators essentially make two different versions.
Right.
One that will work with the exams, the other one that's got stuff you have to have. And the
Fair.
idea is you're really trying to get people to buy both of them.
Right. Yeah. The point there was that this might make sense to have two separate products, one that's exam ready and one that's more for general use. The 50G would be a great example of that. I mean, the 50G is so comprehensive in its power that I struggle to see how it would be included on any exam typically, but yet there may be a stripped down version that could be exam ready as an example. Yeah, I mean, there's a few different ideas we've explored. None of them have gone very far with regards to product development, but having an exam agnostic kind of product, if you will, like almost an iPhone app, if you will, in the sense that it's genericized and can be on some generic device that doesn't have any of the capabilities. Maybe an iPod Touch as an example, with no wireless capabilities included. Maybe it's just an app that looks just like the 12C as an example for your CFA exam, and yet you've got it already in the house, so you know it's controlled. Maybe those kinds of examples. But again, it's an open forum at this point, and I'm willing to hear anybody's feedback on it. I just want to give you guys a little bit of a taste for what it is we do and how we do it. And if you have feedback, of course, I'm always welcome to hear it. My email address I'll give y'all, because I don't want it on video, but I will give it to y'all after the fact, and that way you guys can get a hold of me directly if you need it. And I'm sorry, there was a question in the back. Please.
So I'm just kind of curious, is that, so if you take something like this CFA that's all around the world?
Yes.
So what do you think that's worth to your market share for the 12? I mean, is that something you can say, like 0.5% or 5%?
The question was how much does the CFA affect our market share? I don't know I can't tell you because I don't know the numbers well enough, so I can't really give you a specific number. But what I can tell you is there's a few things about the CFA that are important. One of them is that people start preparing for it a year in advance or more. And two is the people who get a CFA designation go on to become industry-leading professionals. So those two things tend to be influential in, I mean, we really want the creme de la creme, if you will, of professionals to really run an HP calculator, because that says a lot about our brand.
Yeah,
so
the followers.
Exactly. So I think for me, the CFA, both in volume sold just for the exam itself, but in addition, the credibility, the street cred, if you will, of having a CFA professional holding a 12C really goes a long way. And the same extends to other products that are used elsewhere. So yeah, I think there's a bit of a dual benefit there. So I don't know from a volume standpoint what it is. I mean, the CFA exam is huge worldwide, and that's a large volume of calculators, but at the same time, it comes a long way to street credibility as well. I mean, a good example I heard from the CFA gentleman I spoke with was that the 12C in India, as an example, is sought after, and it's sort of seen as the proof that you're a real finance professional, and that people save up for months to buy a 12C simply to show that they know what they're doing and that they're capable professionals. So I really want that reputation for our products, because I think it says a lot about us. Other questions? Did I answer your question? I'm sorry, I didn't even ask. Is that okay? Great, thanks. Other questions? Okay, I think I've probably taken my time anyway, so it's probably just as well. Thanks very much for your... No, we're over. So, okay, well, cool. Well, if you guys have other questions, I'm still around. I'm not going anywhere. Oh, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
Are you handling marketing also, or market penetration in stores?
Yes, the question was, am I handling marketing and market penetration in stores?
For you.
Yeah.
Have you gone up to the Office Depot here up the road lately?
Lately, like in the past month, no.
Okay, because
Will I be saddened?
Office Depot in Tulsa, they dropped the HP 12. Now, the one they had was always the old one. They never changed it, which is one point. But now they carry, I think, the 10 series calculator.
I see.
And I think they have the 10 and maybe the 20, but they have the 30.
Right. So actually,
my question is,
yes, please.
The calculator they had on display, locked down with the root chain,
Right.
Right. In many stores was pretty old even today. And same thing at Staples.
Okay.
Do you guys have anybody don't the guys who go around from HP on the printer side and the calculator and the laptop panel? Don't they ever look at anything else?
So I would love to say that our sales force is comprehensive enough to cover calculators as well. The reality is that our calculators is a small business relative to laptops and other media, things like that. So we don't get a lot of mind share. That said, I want to come back to this because this BDM, this business development manager, so my role is worldwide, yeah? So there's a business development manager in each region, and their job is to do exactly what you're talking about, which is drive sale into retail channels, whether it's Office Depot or Staples or Office Max or Best Buy or wherever. The office superstores, by and large, from what I understand, again, I'm a bit new, so I apologize, want an array of products, right? They want end-to-end. They want you to supply the lowest end and the highest end of the products. And so, in many cases, that's challenging for us, or any calculator manufacturer for that matter. But also, it's just hard because, calculators, if you think about it, they command a bit of a margin, but sometimes it's not enough. For what the retailers want, because if you think about it, every shelf spot in their store commands some premium, right? And so, so while I would love to see all of our products arrayed there, oftentimes it's just not reasonable to do so.
One of my thoughts is that the 12 they had were old models.
Okay.
Okay, granted, you don't want to throw them away constantly.
No, agreed. Yeah.
But two. They had one, and now they had one or two, but the 12, like you said, it's still the standard for the CFA.
Right, agreed.
So it's not there.
Right. So your point was that basically there's older inventory on the shelf, right? And the second one was that the 12C wasn't present, even though it's a CFA approved.
This just happened to.
Right. And I don't know that. So sorry, I don't mean to dwell on it. I know we're kind of going down a rat hole here, but basically, I guess my short answer to that would be that just because it's exam approved does not guarantee that it will be on a shelf. And that's a tricky one. And with e-distribution today being what it is, with Amazon's and Best Buy's online and such, I think you'll find a lot less presence on shelf of HP's calculators, or any calculators for that matter, if they can sell it online. And no, you disagree?
TI has an entire line of calculators from the top,
and,
what is it, the 89 down to the bare bones.
And you could argue that would either be a level of sales force engagement,
and the other, yes,
or a level of money thrown at the solution.
No, they do sell.
No. My point is, I think TI probably gives a lot more margin, perhaps, to the reseller than we do.
That could well be.
But, I mean, that's, generally speaking, that's the lever you pull when you want to get on a shelf, is you give them a whole lot of margin. And some companies invest to that degree because they want that presence, and some choose not to.
Or free money to train their salespeople.
That also could be an option. So so don't get me wrong. I think my point is only that we would love to be on shelf, and we do try very hard to do so. But sometimes we don't win that battle. And the question is, today's discussion really is more around the line of what exams could we be on and should we be on, and how can we do a better job of getting there. And Jeff, did you have a question?
Well, I know it's to continue on. I go around the world. And if I want to buy an HP brand new off the shelf, I do not go to Canada. I don't go to Staples. I don't go to.
Right.
They advertise them, and suddenly it's over the mail. I go down to Australia, I go into any stationary bookstore, they have Diamonds, which is like Borders or whatever.
Okay.
You go into Diamonds, there's 50G, there's 12C, there's 35S. You go across the street to their Staples version, and the whole shebang is there. There's twice as expensive everywhere.
Right. So I think, yeah.
But go to Canada, and there's nothing
good luck finding one
at the university.
Right. No, agreed. And so so I think it's a challenge for our business development managers. I'll definitely pass the message along, and I'll also do a little better job of visiting my local Office Depot. No, it's a fair point. No, it's a fair point.
Because your laptops are there.
Sure. No, agreed. Well, but again, as I said, I don't know that one necessarily implies the other. Because while I would love to think that our sales force is focused equally on all of our products, it's not really the case. They focus on certain ones over others, and that's just sort of an inevitability, really. And the best we can do is engage better with them to encourage them to think about calculators when they go into cell.
Oh, but they do have mice and keyboards.
And those are very high margin items.
And that's the same division as you got here.
You
kind
of,
are
yes.
all in one building here.
Well, just because we're in one building doesn't mean we're all
Well,
buddies.
they all play.
But yeah, I take your point. I take your point. Thank you. Any other questions or feedback? Oh, sorry. And one more, and then we got to wrap it up.
You talked about how you get the existing calculators registered for the exams. How does that feed back into the development of the products?
That's my job as well, or actually Laura's job when she comes in. Okay. But yeah, so again, what I was saying before about the limiting factors as we talked about it with regards to exams, that's exactly the thing we do. So basically, I have a nice big list that I've taken from each of the calculator policies for each of these exams. It says these features, like for instance beeping, is restricted on several exams, or alarms, or Wi-Fi, or any number of other things, right? And so we have a big comprehensive list. So when we do a new grapher or whatever, for example, we say, well, we better not have any of these things, or else we won't be able to be on this exam, right? Or if it's like the ACT, SAT, for instance, and we know they won't let us be on that exam anyway, then we say, well, fine, we don't care about what they say because we know it won't ever be allowed anyway. So yeah, so it's certainly a part of consideration set for the new products we develop, and also one that we look at for the products we have today. Okay? All right, thank you very much for your time. Let me know if you have other questions later.